After Hope became pregnant, she didn't tell anyone. She often locked herself in her room, avoiding contact with others. Her mother would call her, asking her to come over for the weekend, but Hope always found excuses to stay away. As the weeks went by, Andrew started noticing that something was not right. Hope seemed distant and quiet, unlike her usual self. Concerned, he asked her what was wrong, but Hope lied, saying she was just tired or stressed from school. Andrew, though worried, tried to give her space, hoping she would open up when she was ready. However, Hope's behavior only grew more secretive. She avoided family meals and spent most of her time alone in her room. Andrew couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously wrong, but he didn't want to push her too hard. Hope's mother continued to call, and each time Hope would come up with a new excuse not to visit. She felt guilty for lying, but was too scared to reveal the truth. She worried about what her mother would say and how Andrew would react if they found out about the pregnancy. One day, Andrew was walking down the street when a man approached him. The man introduced himself as Pastor Moses. He told Andrew that God had sent him with a message. Pastor Moses said Andrew should stop committing abominations and warned him to stop everything inappropriate he was doing with Hope if he knew what was good for him. Shocked and feeling guilty, Andrew thanked the pastor and hurried home. Once he got there, he went to his room, fell to his knees and started crying. He asked God for forgiveness, feeling the weight of his actions. Andrew promised to change his ways and to live a better life. From that day on, Andrew began to stay away from Hope. He avoided being alone with her and kept his interactions brief. Hope noticed the change and tried to get him to talk, but Andrew remained firm. When she tried to force him to spend time with her, he gently but firmly refused. Andrew told Hope, "Old things have passed away. I need to make things right." Hope was confused and hurt by his sudden change, but Andrew was determined to stick to his promise. He knew he had to turn his life around and make amends for his past mistakes. As days passed, Hope found it harder to cope with Andrew's distance. She missed the closeness they once shared and felt more alone than ever. Andrew, on the other hand, focused on seeking forgiveness and trying to find peace. He prayed every day, asking for strength and guidance. It was during one Sunday after church service that Andrew met a beautiful lady. They started talking, and she introduced herself as a lawyer named Beauty. Andrew immediately fell in love with her. Beauty began visiting more often, and this made Hope start to dislike both Andrew and Beauty. Each time Beauty came over, Hope would cry in her room, feeling left out and heartbroken. Andrew and Beauty's relationship grew stronger with each visit. They spent a lot of time together, sharing stories and laughter. Andrew admired Beauty's intelligence and kindness, and he found himself happier than he had been in a long time. Meanwhile, Hope struggled with her emotions. She felt betrayed and replaced, as if Andrew had forgotten about her. The more she saw them together, the more her feelings of anger and sadness grew. She missed the attention and care Andrew used to give her, and seeing him with Beauty only made those feelings worse. One evening, after Beauty had left, Hope called Andrew to her room. Once there, she asked him why he was doing this to her. Andrew, looking remorseful, said he was sorry for everything and that they needed to stop. He explained that Hope was his daughter, and what they were doing was against God and man. Hope insisted that he wasn't her biological father, but Andrew replied that he knew this, but still couldn't continue their relationship. He apologized again, saying it was the devil's work, and begged for her forgiveness. Hope then dropped a bombshell. She was pregnant. Andrew was dumbfounded, his mouth open in shock. He couldn't fathom how people would react or what they would say about the situation. He went to his room, overwhelmed by the gravity of the situation. Andrew cried out loud, pleading, "Oh Lord, please forgive me, I can't take this." He felt trapped and burdened by his guilt and the consequences of their actions. The weight of the situation pressed heavily on his shoulders, leaving him desperate for a way out. Andrew's friend came around one evening, sensing something was wrong. After some hesitation, Andrew confided in him and told him everything. His friend, shocked by the revelation, suggested that Hope should get rid of the pregnancy. Andrew, desperate and feeling overwhelmed, decided to talk to Hope about it. When Andrew approached Hope with the suggestion, she firmly said, "Never. I am keeping this baby." Andrew tried to persuade her, even promising her a large amount of money, but she remained unwavering. "Hope, please," Andrew pleaded. I don't want my boss to be mad at me. I might get sacked. Please, Hope, don't do this to a man you once called your father." Hope looked at him, her eyes filled with determination. "I understand you're scared, but this is my baby. I can't just get rid of it." Andrew felt helpless. He had never imagined his life taking such a turn. He couldn't bear the thought of losing his job or facing the judgment of others, but he also couldn't bring himself to force Hope into something she didn't want. Though Andrew had already confessed to Beauty about his affair with Hope, he had not told her about Hope's pregnancy. Andrew was broken. He didn't know how to go about it. How would Beauty feel? Would she break up with him? These thoughts tormented Andrew, and he cried each night. He had been single for so long, and just when he found someone he cared about, this happened. Andrew's friend continued to support him, but even he was running out of advice. "Maybe you should come clean to your boss," he suggested one day. "It's better to face it head-on than to live in fear." Andrew wasn't sure what to do. The weight of his actions was crushing him, and he didn't know if he could find a way out of the mess he had created. He dreaded the day he would have to tell Beauty the full truth, fearing her reaction and the possible end of their relationship. The next day, Beauty came around to visit Andrew. He was in his room, feeling overwhelmed by everything that had happened. Seeing him sitting on the bed, looking lost, she sat down beside him. Beauty looked at him with concern and said, "Andrew, we need to talk." She could see the stress on his face and the weight of the situation heavy on his shoulders. She took a deep breath and told Andrew that she knew about Hope's pregnancy. Andrew was shocked and asked, "Who told her?" Beauty calmly replied, "I figured it out myself. I noticed some changes in Hope, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions too quickly." Before Andrew could apologize, Beauty interrupted, "I have already forgiven you. Right now we need to focus on taking care of the baby." Andrew felt a wave of relief wash over him. Beauty continued, "But I need you to promise me something. After the baby is born, Hope needs to move on with her life. She can't stay here with us." Andrew agreed, feeling a mix of gratitude and guilt. Beauty's understanding and support meant the world to him, and he didn't want to lose her. He promised to support Hope and the baby while making sure to respect Beauty's wishes. A week later, Beauty was relaxing in the garden when Hope came over, clearly upset. Hope began insulting Beauty, calling her a lawyer who had never won a case. Beauty tried to ignore Hope, but when Hope started insulting Beauty's parents, she couldn't stay silent. "You spoiled little girl," Beauty said. "You got pregnant out of wedlock, and now you're pregnant by a man you once called your father. You should be ashamed of yourself." Beauty turned to leave, but Hope grabbed her arm, not letting her go. As Beauty tried to pull away, Hope suddenly collapsed, falling to the ground unconscious. Beauty panicked and quickly called for help. Andrew, who had heard the commotion, ran over and called an ambulance. At the hospital, Andrew and Beauty waited anxiously for news. After a few hours, a doctor came out and told them, "I'm sorry, but Hope has lost the pregnancy." The news was a shock to Andrew and Beauty. Andrew felt a deep sense of guilt and sadness, thinking about the unborn child and Hope's pain. When Hope woke up, she was devastated. Andrew sat by her bedside, holding her hand and trying to comfort her. Over the next few weeks, Hope spent most of her time alone in her room, crying. Her parents were unaware of everything that had happened. Hope felt even more heartbroken when Andrew told her she would have to leave his house soon. He had already found a new place for her to stay, as he didn't want Hope to be a distraction to his relationship with Beauty. This news made Hope feel even more upset and angry. She resented both Andrew and Beauty, feeling abandoned and hurt at a time when she needed their support the most. 3 months later, Hope packed her things and left Andrew's house. As she walked out, she made a promise to herself that she would find a way to get back at Andrew and Beauty for what they had done. Her heart was heavy with unresolved anger and hurt, and she was determined to make them understand the pain they had caused her. Hope settled into her new place, but she couldn't stop thinking about Andrew and Beauty. Her anger grew stronger, and she wanted to disrupt their lives as they had disrupted hers. Meanwhile, Andrew and Beauty tried to move forward with their relationship. They enjoyed the peace and quiet without Hope, believing they had made the right choice for everyone. However, the peace didn't last long. One day, Andrew received an anonymous letter in the mail. It contained threats and accusations aimed at both him and Beauty. He immediately suspected it was from Hope. Beauty read the letter and felt a chill run down her spine. They both realized that Hope's departure hadn't solved anything. Instead, it had only made things worse. Andrew decided to confront Hope. He drove to her new place and knocked on her door. When she opened it, the anger in her eyes was unmistakable. "Hope, we need to talk," Andrew began. "I know you're upset, but this isn't the way to handle things." Hope looked at him. "You pushed me out of your life, and now you want to talk?" "It's too late for that, Andrew." Andrew pleaded with Hope, expressing his care for her and his desire to help, urging her to stop her vengeful plans and move on. Hope's expression softened slightly, but her determination remained strong as she declared that Andrew and Beauty would never understand the pain they had caused her and that she would never forgive them. Andrew, feeling the weight of the situation, acknowledged her hurt and emphasized that revenge wouldn't make things better, offering their help instead. Without responding, Hope closed the door, leaving Andrew standing there, feeling more helpless than ever. After Hope's mother, Julia, tried many times to get Hope to visit, she decided to go to Hope's house. There, Hope told her mother everything that happened. Julia was furious. "How could he do this? He's evil and must go to jail," she shouted. Hope tried to calm her down. "Mom, it wasn't really Andrew's fault. He was drunk, and I took the opportunity to force him," she explained, but Julia was too angry. "I don't believe it. He should have known better," she said. Determined to seek justice, Julia went to Andrew's boss's house and told him everything. Andrew's boss was outraged and immediately called for Andrew. When Andrew arrived, he explained everything, including how Hope had taken advantage of him while he was drunk. His boss was shocked to hear the full story. His boss listened, his anger slowly turning into understanding. "This is a complicated situation, Andrew," he said finally. "But it's clear that everyone involved has made mistakes. We need to figure out the best way to move forward." Julia, still angry, began to see that the situation was not as simple as she thought. She turned to Andrew. "I want you to stay away from Hope. She's been through enough already." Andrew nodded. "I understand. I never wanted to hurt her. I just want to make things right." In the weeks that followed, the tension began to ease. But Hope was still angry about how Andrew had treated her. She felt used and thrown aside. Upset, she contacted Sarah, Andrew's ex, who also hated Andrew. They decided to get revenge on Andrew and Beauty by hiring some criminals to kidnap and get rid of them. However, they didn't realize that the police were already keeping an eye on these criminals. While the bad guys were planning the attack in an abandoned building, the police swooped in and arrested them. The criminals then confessed to the plot and revealed that Hope and Sarah were behind it. Hope and Sarah were soon arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit murder. The news shocked everyone. Andrew and Beauty were deeply disturbed by how far Hope and Sarah had gone in their revenge. In court, Hope and Sarah faced serious consequences. Both were sentenced to jail. Despite the relief that the danger had passed, Andrew felt sad and regretful about what had happened. He never imagined things would turn out this way. A month later, Andrew and Beauty got married. Though the future was still uncertain, they were determined to move forward, find peace and build a new life together, leaving behind the painful events of the past. Dear viewers, what lessons did you take away from this dramatic tale? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the story, give us a thumbs up, share it with friends, and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest updates. Thanks for watching and stay blessed.